Welcome, everybody, to PT Shop Talk. Today is episode 20. We have a special guest with us today, Nick Gigliotti, to talk about being a therapist and opening up a gym and how that looks together. With me today, as always, to go over that and our top 5 artists, hip hop and R&B artists from the 2000s is Nick Shimmy Shimmy Coco What Doling and Jeremy Murder Inc. Van Klompenberg.
Murder Inc.
Yeah, welcome. He seemed like a Ja Rule guy. I didn't know Jeremy.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of rap, hip hop, Florida Georgia Line songs, so I was.
Nelly.
No,
Come
yeah.
on.
That's
Come
not in the
on.
2000s,
Is that
though, right? That's
foreshadowing?
like 2015, isn't it? I don't know.
No. Nelly?
Well, no,
Come
but
on.
Florida Georgia Line and Nelly.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. I had to find lines from the 2000s.
Yeah, it worked. It worked.
Yeah, it was hard. I had to I didn't want to offend you. I thought I was going to use a Shaggy line, like Jeremy wasn't me, Van Klompenberg. I didn't want people to think that was your persona.
Oh, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
You're just
Let
looking
the
out.
dogs out.
Oh,
on,
that would have been a
anybody?
good one. Dang it.
All
There's
right.
a lot of pressure to come up with these nicknames every week.
Missed opportunities.
No problem. Well, like I said, today we have a special guest with us, Nick Gigliotti. Tell us a little bit about yourself. Get us rocking and rolling. Nick will kind of guide you through, and we'll have an adventure today, and we'll cleanse our palate at the end with those top 5s. So
Yeah,
tell
thanks.
us a little bit about yourself.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me on. I'm a physical therapist. I've known you guys for a while. I used to work with Nick and Jeremy down in Marshall, and I live up in northern Minnesota. What's region known as the Iron Range. And so I'm from here originally, grew up here, moved away for a while and came back, married. My wife, Jen, is also a PT, works for Big Stone, and got 3 kids. Farrah's 5, Roman is 3, and my son, my littlest, Jojo, she's 1.5, 18 months. And so we got a crazy life, having lots of fun.
Busy ages.
Yeah. So we're loving it though. We're very blessed. We got all kinds of fun things going on, and so I PT by day, and dad all the time.
Yeah, that never stops,
Yeah.
does it?
You bet.
Now, first burning question I have for you, based on previous guests we've had, do you have any siblings with cool ass nicknames that are willing to sponsor our show, such as Cheeks or Buffet Table?
Oh man,
the other day
man,
was.
I think it's lunchbox.
Lunch buffet 70.
Yeah,
That can't
Ryan
possibly
Landberg
be-
on, who's apparently everyone in his family has a weird nickname. So
how many brothers does Ryan have? He's those guys are hosses. I remember them from when I was in Marshall.
that's
big dog.
Buffet Table. That's
Yeah.
not
3
small man's
brothers?
nickname.
Yeah. 3 bros.
Yeah, you would need a buffet table to feed those boys.
Big old Ray.
Yeah, actually, I have twin sisters. So maybe I might be the first with twins on, and they are.
You
Yeah.
are. You have the privilege.
Yeah,
as far as I can recall.
they're 11 years older than me, so I pretty much call them by their names because they're like second and third moms to me. Growing up.
So they
I
were
was-
actually
I was-
nice to you.
Yeah, you bet. I got some makeup, ponytails, things like that as a baby, mostly before I can remember.
That's probably for the best.
Yeah, so they're both my best friends now, and it was nice having them growing up. They looking after me, taking care of me, and but they don't really have too crazy of nicknames. We all of us kind of went by Jigs with our last name. So everybody called them Jigs. They called me Jigs. A little bit confusing, I'm sure, with them being twins, but like I said, it was almost before my time when that stuff was happening,
I'll contact them, see where they want to be with sponsorship.
Yeah, they could still be friends of the show, right?
Yeah, you can always like and subscribe.
Well, I know they're fans of physical therapy. They're calling me for their ailments and their kids' ailments all the time. And unlike my folks, they actually listen to me. So that's kind of nice.
Oh,
That is
great
nice.
point.
Yeah. Is there
Yeah.
ever a point where your like parents listen to you about therapy? I don't know.
Oh man, you think they would?
That wouldn't work. That wouldn't work.
Yeah. What do you know? You're just a little boy. It's like, wow, I'm a grown man, 40.
Yeah.
I can kick and stretch. Like, I don't know why they don't listen to me.
I'm a grown man.
So tell us a little bit about your background, Nick. Where'd you go to school? I have to know that first. Like,
Sure. Well, I went to, like I said, I grew up on the Iron Range. Went to school in Duluth at St. Scholastica, and I went there with the intention of being pre-med, as directed by my mother, saying, you should do that. You're not going to be happy being a school teacher like the rest of us. And so I did as I was told, and
yeah.
and it really worked out. I mean, I shadowed everything, you guys. I mean, I shadowed dentists, and I shadowed primary care doctors, and I mean, I saw as many things as I possibly could. And I was really lucky to have those opportunities, and I didn't really care for many of them, but I sure didn't want to end up going through school and having a biology degree and nothing to do with it. And so I ended up shadowing physical therapy. I had to shadow a third time before I fell in love with it. I was doing an inpatient rehab, and I saw this guy who had a motor vehicle accident, traumatic brain injury, and it was pretty heavy. That was the second shadowing I had, and then I saw him in the summer at an outpatient clinic about an hour and a half away, and he couldn't even talk or anything. He only could move his like 3 fingers when I saw him after his accident. And when I saw him in the summer, this is maybe, I don't remember how many months later now, but pretty recent, within a year, and he remembered my name. He stood up, walked in the clinic, was do outpatient therapy with the therapist I was shadowing, and I was hooked after that. I'm like, man, this guy couldn't say anything. He couldn't move at all, and now he's here walking with a walker. He remembers my name, and I just sat there and watched and observed at that time, and I'm like, this is the kind of stuff that I want to do. And that's kind of how I ended up down in Marshall. Is I interviewed all kinds of places when I was coming out of school, and I just kind of fell in love with the idea that you could do so many things in a rural town, especially with what Big Stone was doing in Marshall at the time, and see people in the hospital and emergency room and outpatient, and kind of follow through that continuum. That's the kind of thing that got me hooked, and that's really the thing I love most about it today.
Yeah.
What kind of mascot you guys got over there at the St. Scholastica?
We have a Saint Bernard. We're the Saints, but our mascot is a Saint Bernard.
Now, do you do some sort
Makes
of
sense.
dumb yipping type hand gesture at games?
That I'm not aware of. St. Scholastica is not too much known for their sports, being a Division III school, but we do okay in Division III. I was more of an intramural standout myself, but
that's good.
Just saying.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Yeah, you gotta give yourself the accolades somehow when you can't put the
Not everybody can compete with all those murals at once. To be intramural, that's big time.
No, but there's
Don't even
no
do good with
special
one.
cheers. No special cheers, I don't think. But that Saint Bernard, he's pretty intimidating. We got those nuns.
The nuns.
Yep.
Ooh,
Yep.
that is
Second
Probably
to none.
equally intimidating. Yeah.
Do they
Yeah,
have like a live Saint Bernard at the events?
They do sometimes. You bet.
Do the nuns ride the Saint Bernard?
No, that's an
All right.
interesting idea. I don't think they'd be up for it. We actually got football at St. Scholastica. We had never had football before. Yep. And the nuns were up for it because they needed to increase male enrollment. It was like a 2.5 to 1 female to male at that time. I think when I went there, which obviously was great for a man.
Sold as a 17, 18-year-old boy.
Yeah, single man.
Barrel.
Yep. Yeah.
Holy moly.
So it was.
Holy moly.
But they added the football team, and then they added a practice field on campus, and the nuns said no lights in Duluth where it's dark, at 3:00.
Yeah, you guys are north up there.
In the afternoon. So they had no lights on the field. They had to go play their games off site, and Yeah, they said no lights. We're not doing that. That's going to disturb the flow of the campus. And
Wow.
so there were no lights when they first started. They had to practice during the day, and yeah, pretty wild.
Yeah, that's
Son of a
interesting to
gun.
be the fly on the wall in that meeting. I wonder, like,
Yeah,
I assume
Yeah,
it came down to money. I mean, I'm not here to judge anybody, but like, lights are expensive. Cancel them.
yeah. Easier to blame it on the nuns, I think.
Yeah.
So back in those days, were you doing the 3+3 option with Scholastica?
Yeah. That's yes, Nick. That was so I think I was the last year or second to last year, the 3+3, which actually worked out really nice, obviously for me.
Mhm.
I was
love
lucky
it.
enough. I was lucky enough to get in on that 3+3. And so since I wasn't pre-physical therapy, I had to take a couple summer classes, but I did that, and most of my pre-med course met the requirements. So that was fairly easy for me to take those summer classes. And at that time it was starting to get really competitive relative, and we didn't have the PT cast, so there was no centralized applications at that time, which for somebody trying to get in, that was huge. I mean, we had 200 applicants for our program that admitted 36, and they guaranteed, I think it was 12 spaces for Scholastica students, and so most of those kids in my class had actually finished 4 years and graduated, because it was starting to get that competitive. But I was lucky enough to get in, and so it saved me a year.
That's
full
huge.
year of- yeah.
So they don't do that anymore. That has went away.
Nope.
Does
No,
anywhere
they
do that
stopped that.
anymore? Maybe I don't even know.
I'm
There's
not
gotta be a
positive, but I think it's been like pushed away,
Yeah.
which is
Yeah,
unfortunate,
interesting.
because I think it's a pretty good way to go. I'm kind of the mindset. I think you could cram just about any bachelor's into a 3-year program. I don't necessarily agree with the process of extending it out to 4 across the board universally.
Oh, I 100%
Just me.
agree.
Yeah.
Ah.
Unfortunately, I think it's driven by financial purposes way more than actual like advancement of people's careers and preparedness to, I guess, be a person, be a human functioning.
Yeah, I think it should be like a 1 and 3.
Ooh.
Well, take your sciences, like figure out if you can actually pass college for a year. If you got that, I mean, who cares if you can do an art
But you
class?
kind of sleepwalk through your boards too, though, right? Isn't that what you said?
Didn't even study.
Well, yeah, but I mean, come on, guys. Yeah.
You pretty much
What did those 3 to 4 years of, did your bachelor's degree really matter that much?
No.
I'd say no.
I'll say no.
Like
I
the
think
only
for
reason I
me-
think there
Go
should
ahead,
be.
Nick.
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Let's let Nick.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I think for me, the only reason that mattered, I mean, is just personal growth. You know what I mean? I mean, it didn't necessarily mean that my world music class or my, me not testing out of Spanish 2, was necessary to me being a PT or being a good PT or getting into school or anything like that. But I think just the maturity level, especially for, kids when you're 18, 19, and it's just, I don't know, that part was huge. But
So
certainly on the same page with you guys. I don't think it necessary to have 4 years of undergraduate work. I just don't feel like that's necessary at all.
crazy question. I mean, do you? I've looked at it. I've had conversations with parents now. Actually, just one today of a she's got a junior. And anyways, we're talking about what those college plans are, and I said, I'm kind of kooky, but unless you have a sharp and ironclad pathway to what you're going to do and that commitment, or let's say you have an athletic responsibility and commitment, why not take a year off and go out there and find a job, find some ways to interact with other adult human beings. And then once you really identify what your passions are and have that year of growth, then go back to it. And I met with so many when I proposed that to people, because I might even recommend that for my own kids. And when I propose that to people, they're like, "Oh, I'm just so afraid they're gonna never go back." It's like,
Well,
why
then
not?
did they want it? Did they want it anyways? Then, if you're not going to go back,
Yeah.
are you going to be happy doing it? If you, I don't know.
Nick,
Existential questions.
I am a huge supporter of that plan. I think that you should be able to tap into Social Security from like the age of 18 to 20.
Really?
Yeah.
Never heard that one before.
Me either.
Radical.
Like, I think you should get that 2-year period to figure yourself out. Like, I think it's dumb that like you have to like, oh, I guess I'm at 17. I have to know what I'm gonna do. Like,
Well,
give
you
people some
can-
time, give people
But
some money.
I think the reason is because most people don't, right? Most people go in and they do something for a year, they go on a certain path, year, 2 years, and then they change. And yeah, I mean, it's just kind of
Why declare though? Like you don't have to declare a major until you're a sophomore or junior, right?
which
Like,
goes back how many years of generals should you really have to take? They've upped that to like 2 pretty much universally, right?
if you want to be a well-rounded human being, you need
Right.
to take at least
Right.
68
Right.
credits of general studies.
That's what they're doing it for. You're right.
Jeremy,
all
I was
tru-
so mature.
It was all
at 18.
truism.
I was so mature in PT school. I mean, holy smokes.
Yeah. I'm still super mature. Yeah, it worked
think-
great.
I think our listeners know that.
Yeah, I would say
Does that come across?
most of the kids around here, you guys, they're doing their generals right away. I mean, I would say, I don't know the numbers, but most of the kids that I know that are at the high school are doing the
Yeah.
PSEO,
Yeah,
and
that's awesome.
Yeah, a
It's
lot of
huge.
kids are coming in as sophomores.
and they're
which is
finishing
huge.
those generals right away. And if they don't, then they're going 1 year junior college, and they're doing such a great job now of trying to get these trade programs up and running for kids who, I mean,
Yeah.
it makes so much sense. You could get such a great job with so much less financial debt.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
doing
9
something that you
months
might-
and
yeah.
make some money.
Yeah, no doubt. And doing something that really is meaningful. I mean, whether it's being a plumber, electrician,
Welder,
welder,
fitter, yeah.
you name it.
Taconite minor.
Yeah, we got that. I mean, there's some pretty great jobs around here, really good union presence, and for these kids, they get a skill that'll transition no matter whether they live around here or somewhere else. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Union presence. Woo,
Ooh.
dropping it.
Yeah, yeah. Oh,
Whoa,
it's-
that's an
do they wanna-
episode in and of itself.
Let's get a PT union going.
yeah. I don't think you should joke, Nick.
There's gonna be people.
Yeah.
That'll happen around here.
Yeah, we don't.
There's-
Yeah, we don't need that.
Then we'll be talking salaries and
Yeah.
issues. And where does the money come from? Who cares?
Yeah. Well, if the union would be willing to go to insurance companies, I would maybe be interested.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that gives you a lot of power.
Yeah. Boy, we got deep in the PT weeds there, didn't we?
Ooh,
I
man.
like it.
I don't know if we can find our way out now.
Well, getting back to Nick's journey that he was on. So as you went through, what was the curriculum like? I'm thinking structurally as far as what were your internships position? That's his
Yeah.
class.
Yeah, we did the first year. So you start summer, you got your nat lab, and a physiology course, and then we spent a year didactic, and then you go on a clinical for 8 weeks, which I noticed a lot of schools aren't doing that anymore. And in hindsight, like, you're there and you just don't know enough. I mean, working in the clinic now, I mean, it's hard taking those students. They're just not ready. They're not ready for the pace. They're not ready for the diversity of the caseload that we have. And by the time you get done with 8 weeks, you're just still not there. And but I do like the exposure to the flow. But we did 8 weeks after the first year, another year didactic, and then three more clinicals, 8 week, and 8 week, 10 week, 10 week. So four total. And then you came back and did a capstone.
Mhm.
What
See,
kind of capstone did you guys have to do? Was it like a case study, or you actually have to do research?
Yeah, so you presented some research. It was pretty basic at that time. I think the kids do quite a bit more now, and I say kids, lovingly, but I think the students are doing a lot more now than we were doing at the time. But that's something we really started previously, and then you kind of just brought that forward. And it was really, the capstone was a lot based off of professional affairs. We had a gal come in who had lost her license, and tell her story about what happened with that, and test taking prep. We had the test taking gal come in for 2 days who's the expert on that. So it was a lot of that stuff.
That was Casey. Casey came to your school and talked.
Don't bother.
Yeah.
See you guys.
I'm the test taking expert.
Yeah.
Don't buy this book.
Throw it out. It's all up
Worthless.
there in your brain, boys and girls.
But we did the same. And Jeremy, I think it was the same for you at USD,
Jam it in
right?
there.
Similar structure where you did a year of didactic and then you did your
Yep.
first rotation, right?
We did 6 weeks and then 4 8s on year 3. So
I found the value. You're right, Nick, because you get out there and I mean it's good exposure. I think you start laying some of your groundwork and maybe you develop some abilities to connect with patients. So I can see some value there. But I referred to that one as like when you get back, you realize how much you didn't really know. You think you're so damn smart like your first year, and you're like, man, I just aced neuroanatomy. Bring it on.
I'm gonna be a doctor.
You get out there in the clinic.
Give me the ice pick. We're going to that nose right now.
Yeah.
It's lobotomies, Jeremy.
And then the other value
I knew it.
throughout that second year, you can I found it valuable because then you can at least you have some case examples you can reflect on as you're delving deeper in like orthopedics. So I mean I found the positives in that model personally, but I totally get what you're saying too, especially when you're CI taking them on and you're trying to baby step people through.
Yeah, I think of that mostly now because that's where I'm at. I'm the one taking the students and it's a lot more work for the CIs. And you feel for the student too, because they're just not ready. But I think, the biggest thing is the flow of the day, and the flow of, look, you have to be able to get through those visits and not get hung up on stuff because you're moving on to the next thing. But also taking that note for yourself to say, hey, this is how we reflect on it and learn, versus when you're in the didactic portion, you're doing your lab practicals, whatever. It's different. You guys know that. So that part of it was big. How that looks or what the best way to do that is, I don't really know.
Anybody could write notes for you. That's what I always say. Bring on them first rotation kids. They'll appreciate it at the end.
Spoken like the guy who takes on more students than anybody. They
love it. They love
all these motivations.
How are things going in the clinic? Oh, crappy. No students right now.
So busy.
You just gotta find the little joys in life, I always say.
Yeah. So then when you graduated, when did you end up taking your boards? Where did you go? Because we've had guys who took it like April, we took it July. Were you in like the rolling admission pattern? Not admission, but rolling testing?
Man, guys, I had a crazy experience with my boards, just like life altering. I know it doesn't seem like it would be the case, but I took my boards in July. I think that was the first or second year of the only 4 test dates available in the whole year.
Gotcha.
And so I took my test in July, and you couldn't take it early. There was a March date or something, and you couldn't take it early, at least from my school. I don't remember what the ruling was on that. So I took it in July. Didn't pass.
State by state.
Yep. Yeah. I didn't pass the first time I took it. It was shocked me, because I did well in school, and so I was just like devastated, right? I was like, you question everything at that point. So I'd already accepted the job with Big Stone at that point. And so I'm thinking, geez, I took my first job, didn't pass my boards, like completely shocked. I studied hard. And I felt like I had everything really rolling going into it. And so then I had to wait until October to take it again.
It's brutal. What do you do at that time?
Oh, I worked.
Yeah, I bet you wish you could have dipped into Social Security.
Well, I had free room and board, but I worked. I slang burgers and I studied more, and I tried to enjoy the time off, and not give myself too hard of a time after I got over that piece. And I took it the second time, and I crushed it, and then I started work like right away. So yeah, I told Andrew, my boss at the time, I said, look, I'm gonna pass this thing, so get me started right away afterwards, even if it means I got to have a temp license, whatever. So yeah, I got rolling, and it was great. I just appreciated Big Stone so much because they said, look, we still want you to come. If that means you don't pass it the second time, we still want you to come. We just got to reapproach what that looks like. So take it, pass it, and get your butt down here when you're ready. And so it was just that the confidence that the company had in me really was like, man, I know this is the right spot. I know this is the spot.
Oh, that's super cool. Do you think, like, now that you can look back, obviously it's tough, but didn't pass the first time, passed the second time. For listeners, some PT students and things listen to us. Do you think there was like any one thing where you're like, or anything where you're like, man, I should have did that on the first one? Or do you think it was just like, you just got kind of a bad roll of the dice on that first one where it was like, yeah, it was just stuff I didn't know. It just happened to be the roll, because I've historically told people don't study at all. And that's terrible advice. So I'm
That's
looking,
awful.
yeah, that's absolutely awful.
Yeah,
so
that's
I'm looking
I
for
don't
better
recommend.
advice for people.
Nobody on the pod's co-signing Casey.
Yeah, no one has
number
supported me.
Number one, do not trust Casey when it comes to test taking.
That's
I
a good
think
number one.
I think, guys, honestly, I felt like in hindsight, I look back and I had too much time. I think I got complacent with some of my studying. I felt like I was studying hard, but in looking back, I don't think I was studying the right way. I think I was spending a lot of time not getting much done. And you guys all know what that's like. When you got too much time on something and you feel like you might be getting a lot done, but you're probably not. So when the second time, I took that full month off, didn't study a lick, and then came back after it, and I just honed in on the things that, like the tests themselves, the practice tests, and just I gave myself a limit. This is how much I'm going to do it on each day, and or here are the days I'm going to take off, and it was a totally different ball game. I think you're right, Casey. Like when I have students in the clinic, they know so much. It's just a matter of not overthinking it. And I think I overthought it, and I think I was overconfident too. And then when I got there, I maybe was underconfident when I actually got there. I think that happens a lot in all kinds of things where you go into it and you feel like you're overconfident because you felt like you prepared, but you didn't really.
Didn't prepare in the right way.
And then you realize it, and then it's like, oh shoot,
that was my first 6 months on the job.
Yeah, and I was a slow test taker, so like the pacing was something I needed to prepare for, and I didn't do a good job. of that, and
turns into a marathon. Yeah.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, you bet.
I love the fact. Go ahead,
Jeremy.
No, after you.
I was just going to commend him. I love the fact. I absolutely love the way you approach that second one, and you're just like, you made that commitment to yourself, and you made it to Andrew, I'm assuming, and just being like, hey, hold that spot because I'm going to be there. I'm going to pass it this time, and I just think there's so much value. I'm a strong believer in making public commitments, making those declarations to yourself and other people. So it just takes you to that next level, and I agree with you completely. I mean, I personally operate better under a certain amount of pressure. I'm not going to pretend like you can take it all on, because nobody can, but with a little bit more pressure, a little more timeline, stuff like that, I think we all just kind of step up. I think most people do, rather than complacency.
I've heard that's how diamonds are made. I've heard with a little bit of pressure. No, I was with Nick in terms of like super slow test taker. I think I used every single second of that test. Like I know Nick and Casey.
So 5 hours, right? Is it 5?
Yeah. And so that was a big deal too, of like pacing of the test, and I was the guy that took, I think, 11 pre-tests. So I'm like the opposite of Casey. So
we complete each other.
Yep.
Did you take any, Casey? Did you take any prep tests?
Two, which was
the
extent of my studying.
I
took one, passed it. Took a second one, passed it. I figured I was there.
So Nick, I shared before that I took 9 myself.
Oh man.
want to make sure I was ready. But I was in a kind of a cohort where we could kind of sign up and take it whenever we wanted to. So it was more of a rolling pattern there before that all got changed. I don't know how, I think I would have been an April guy. I think that's just the way I'm wired. I think again, going back to that, but
you would have been able to. I had to fight for that at USD.
You got licensed in Utah, didn't you?
I did. Because I've never been to Utah.
Let's get on a plane and go. Somebody's gonna let me test early.
Well, that's what you had to. That's what you had to do in the day. I mean, Jeremy, what year did you take it?
It would have been in 13.
Yeah. So I took mine in 12. I mean, I had classmates in Vegas and all over the place. I mean, you had to. There was no choice.
Yeah.
It was so tough with only 4 dates. It was ridiculous.
Yeah, my technique worked way better when Nick and I took ours because I could literally go in the next week and take it again. Like the pressure was so low. Like I went into that first one going, this is a practice, right? I mean, it cost a couple $100, I suppose, but in the scheme of life, I really wasn't like concerned about money. You know, like
I don't remember them having.
Were you on Social Security?
Yeah, I tapped in. Murdered somebody and I was collecting those paychecks. It's easy. It was a different system back then, Jeremy.
I don't remember the FSBPT having any set schedule though. Like if you did not pass, saying like, well, now you got to wait X amount of time before you can retest. I don't remember anything.
I don't think there was because we had a PTA that we had hired and that hadn't passed their boards yet, and they took their boards 3 times in the course of I think a month. And that was the limit, though. They didn't pass, and then they couldn't take it again.
Yeah, 3. I think it's 3, and then you got to hold off for a while. So.
Yeah. So they ended up going to Colorado at that time because you didn't need to pass boards in Colorado to be a PTA.
Wow. Nice. No, I was the opposite. I was the opposite of Nick and Jeremy. I was like 2.5 hours, and I'm like, "Could see ya." Like,
yeah.
Pass or don't. No, I'm like. Either pass or fail. Either way, I'm out of here. So,
yeah, you know it or you don't. That was kind of my style too. Like I finished the test as fast as I could read the test.
Freaking see ya. I'm out.
So see, for me though, I'd read things too quick, and I'd read adduction instead of abduction. You know, like because those answers. So it was like a test taking strategy for me too. Like just slow down, read it, make sure you know what you're reading, because I'm typically like a skimmer. Just get the bullet points real quick. And
so when you took your OCS, that one's very case study oriented.
I used every second of that too.
Oh god,
I was like, what did we get on that? 6 hours, 7 hours?
I don't remember. 2.5.
Peace. He's never seen the finish line. He can't tell you, Jeremy, what it looks like.
I used every second of that thing too. I mean, I felt like I got a giant syringe in my brain and just that sucked everything out. That was horrible.
Well, yeah, man. So then you started there. I was playing back in my mind, Nick. When did you move to Hibbing?
Yeah. I moved, so came to Marshall in 2012, moved up here summer of 14. So yeah, it was pretty crazy when we moved up here. I don't know if I'd ever told you this story, Nick, but Jen and I were coming up to see my folks. So I'm from this area, you know, I live in Chisholm now, which is about, 8 to 10 miles from Hibbing, and we got clinics in both towns. But I'm from about 25 miles to the east. And so we were coming up for Easter to visit my folks, and this is spring of 14. And Angela Meyer had said, hey, we're going to be maybe taking over those contracts there in those towns. Could you stop in and visit the therapist? It'd be good. You could be representation for Big Stone. You're going to be there anyway. And I said, yeah, absolutely. And, Jen had moved to Marshall, started working for Big Stone at that time. And so we're like, we go into the clinics and some of the therapists that are still there now with me, and they remember that. And we got this warm embrace in Hibbing, and then in Chisholm, they were just cold. I mean, they wanted nothing to do with us. And so I'm thinking, I come back and I talk to Angela's like, oh, how'd it go? And she's all cheery. And I'm like, oh boy, it's Hibbing's going to be really great for you guys, but you got your hands full in Chisholm. It's going to be really tough. And I didn't know anything at that time. I'd managed people, but not in the physical therapy sense, professionals. So it was probably like 2 weeks later, and Angela's calling me. I don't think Andrew knew about it at the time, but she said, we want you and Jen to go up and run these clinics. And I was like, oh my gosh. And so yeah, we had a week to let her know, and then we decided we were going to do it. So Jen came up about a month ahead of me because I had to finish some stuff in Marshall with transitioning people, and Jen was the first internal traveler for Big Stone. So it was easier for her to kind of pack up and go. And so she moved in with my folks summer of 14, and then got married in August. So it was a pretty wild summer. You go from not doing very much skilled nursing at all to having to manage 2 clinics, and pretty wild.
Mm-hmm.
It's fun to thrive on that, though. I mean, that's how you grow. Now, were you worried moving to Chisholm that everybody was going to compare you to Doc Moonlight? Famous Chisholm legend.
Yep. You guys familiar with if you build it, they will come? Yeah. Field of Dreams.
That
Doc
dude's
Moonlight
been in like a movie. Like you had to compete with that. That's huge.
You guys, we got lots of famous people here. Lots of famous people. Bob Dylan.
Bob Dylan was
one of the
there.
world's top Chisholm experts. You have the former CEO of PepsiCo.
That's right.
Spent some time there.
What?
Yep. From Chisholm. Yep. You guys
also
know,
some billionaire dude, financial manager guy from Chisholm.
Yeah, Phil Falcone. Yep.
There you go.
Is that a silent partner on the gym?
That's such a gangster name, Falcone.
I think he spent a lot of time on the East Coast. I think he was that kind of guy.
Batman.
And like the curling dude, like you got a curling guy too, right? Like wasn't one of the Olympic curlers from there?
Skip of the Olympic curling team, John Schuster. He's from Chisholm. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
I've heard of him. Yeah.
Actually, so our business partners in the gym and the bike shop here, they live in John Schuster's childhood home.
Oh.
Yep.
That's
fun
cool.
fact.
Put up a plaque. Yeah, put up a plaque. That's good.
I gotta throw some other people out there for you guys really quick. We got
keep firing them. I know them.
Yeah.
I do my research.
You guys remember Second Wind exercise equipment infomercials? Yeah. Dick Enrico.
Yeah.
From Chisholm. From Chisholm.
Wow.
Yep. We got
lots of celebrities out that way.
Jeremy Van Klompenberg's idol, Kevin McHale.
Yes.
NBA Hall of Famer. Yeah.
I did not know that he was from Chisholm.
Kevin McHale is actually from Hibbing. But we're gonna consider him one.
Chibbing.
Yeah.
Chibbing area.
Chibbing. Yep. You bet.
I like that. I think it's interesting that Doc Moonlight, AJ Brown, his first name is Archibald, I believe. The founder of Chisholm was also Archibald Chisholm. What are the chances you would have 2 famous men with the first name Archibald? Yeah, boy, that should be advertised more in Chisholm, I think.
Man, at that time,
how was your nickname?
I think the odds were at that time. The odds were probably pretty good. I imagine there were a hell of a lot more Archibalds then.
That's true. There was like 12 names back then.
I think that's what you need to name your 4th kid, Nick.
Oh,
Archie.
That's adorable.
That's a topic for another pod.
Archibald.
I like it. I think that's such a cool area. I like that area up there. If you guys have never Googled map like Chisholm, Minnesota, I don't know if you guys ever like satellite view places. That's one of the coolest places to check out on Google Maps because of the iron like open pit mining they do.
Yeah.
Like it all fills in with water, and it's just like these cool like man-made like lakes.
Quarries.
Yeah, I mean that's pretty much what it is, right?
Yeah.
Like it's these giant quarries with just these beautiful trees all around them. I mean, it just looks beautiful. It's a cool place.
Yeah. It's amazing. Google Earth or something because you can just see the massive amount of land that has been taken up by the mining. And not all of it fills in, but we don't call them quarries, we call them pits. But it's beautiful. It's beautiful.
Well, do you got any PT openings up there?
We do a full-time position. We got one of the.
He sold me on it.
Yeah, the Midwest best mountain bike park. We got maybe the best fitness center in the state.
Oh,
Yes.
whoa,
That's
we
what I
might need to
want.
talk
I
about
wanna
that
hear
a little
about
bit.
that.
Holy moly, I like that.
Let's go to that. All right. Tell us about it. When did you open this sucker?
Yeah, so we it's the summer of 18, and my wife Jen, she was pregnant with our second Roman, and was playing church league softball, and we saw this building for sale downtown Chisholm. And Chisholm's got that beautiful small town, quaint, downtown. It's charming, it's cool, and you got these
So it's
old buildings.
A population about 2,800, 4,000, somewhere in there.
Yeah, it's just shy of 5. So it's not that small, but it's small. You can feel it when you're in it,
It's got that lake town feel, right?
Yeah. So we saw this building for sale downtown. Jen and I did, and so we had seen the owner inside. We were talking to him. We were just having a date night, and the owner was like, yeah, I'm going to sell this building, and it's probably the coolest building downtown, at least one of them, and he's like, I'm going to sell it to a guy. He wants to run a smoke shop. And we're like, oh no, like a smoke shop. That can't happen. This is the coolest building in town. And so we're telling a buddy about it at church league softball. And he said, my wife and I, we wanted to buy that however many years ago and open a fitness center. And I thought, geez, a fitness center is a great idea for that. I mean, this town needs it. There was no fitness center at the time. You can only go to the high school, and I was working with the kids in the morning, and so I knew the equipment there was terrible and needed a full rehab. And so we were talking, and of course, when two dudes get together with big ideas, so we went home that night, both telling our wives, hey, we want to open a fitness center. Let's do it, and our wives shut us down pretty quick. Jen,
Wow.
I
They'll
think
come
she
around.
was 6-7 months pregnant at the time, and our partners, they were trying to adopt, and so turns out 2 weeks later the girls called us in. We had dinner together, and 2.5 months later we were opening a fitness center. So it's a pretty wild chain of events. We actually signed, our business partners brought paperwork to the hospital after Jen had given birth. We were in the hospital to sign the lease on the building.
Perfect timing.
And
By the way,
so yeah,
This
just
is your
crazy.
future.
Just crazy. And so yeah, it's been a wild ride, and it's been a lot of fun. There's a lot more reasons for us to get involved, feeling called to be involved with it, other than just, we didn't want there to be a smoke shop there, but that's kind of the straw that got the conversation going. And yeah, it's been fun. Like it's a place where people come in and they always feel good when they leave. As therapists, you always hope that people feel good when they leave your clinic, and the reality is that's not always the case. But people almost always feel good when they leave the gym, and it felt like we're giving back to the community, and we use it for therapy. I mean, we got lots of people who get in there at towards the end of their plan of care, or depending on where they're at, and do our visits there sometimes. Just equipment that we don't have access to in our clinic, and so it's really fun.
That's cool. That's cool. If we can, before we segue to the top 5, I want to make a fun, getting down and dirty throwback callback to our boy Dave when we talked about opening up taint when you squat.
Open it up for business.
Jeremy kind of knows where we're going, but Jeremy and I have seen Nick's taint literally during a dry healing course.
What? Was it open?
Oh,
It was opened for him.
Jen volunteered him to be the guinea pig for I think
That
it
was
was doing like
hilarious.
deep rotators or something at the hip.
oh, you,
After he
Casey,
returned it.
Casey, yeah, yep.
Tell me more. So you were
Casey,
not
you gotta hear
prepared
this
for
story.
this, huh?
He's trying to, Casey.
Casey, you got to hear this story.
Yeah, I'd love
this is
to.
good
I
stuff.
have a lot of questions already.
We're down in Marshall at Nick's clinic there, and we're going out for, this is, I think, day 2. We're going out for lunch at the Hy-Vee, which is classic Marshall thing to do, and
I've been to Marshall.
we're gonna do the abdominal unit, right? And so I told Jen, I said, Jen, you should probably take a pregnancy test before we do this, just to make sure you're not pregnant. We weren't trying or anything, but just
You never
out
know.
of safety, right? I'm just thinking, I don't know, overly cautious.
Yeah.
sure enough, the Hy-Vee
I remember that.
bathroom yielded the positive pregnancy test for us.
Wow.
So then
That's an
the next,
amazing
I remember
story
that.
already.
yeah. So then later on in the class, Jen decides to volunteer me for, they're asking for a volunteer for the obturator. And I'm thinking, geez, who's going to want to do this? And Jen's like, he'll do it, and I'm like, oh, what?
He's super helpful.
I'm like,
That's right. That was the line of the weekend.
oh,
He's
and I'm
super helpful.
like, Jen, nobody wants this to be me. They don't want that, they just don't. And that's, yeah. So
It had to be
yeah,
somebody.
sure
You
enough,
had to So to paint the picture, what I recall is like
Burned
You're
in your
on your s-
retinas, I assume.
let's just pretend I don't remember which side you're on, but like let's just say he's on like his right side. And was your left hip hiked up, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
90
Left
degrees.
foot on the table, and you're like cupping your nuts, I believe, to like
Yep.
protect that. But she's needle her instructor Mandy's like back there needling, and I'm on the other side of the table. I think we're looking at your face, and your facials were great during that. And Jeremy and I are kind of just crack each other up like we always did at C's. And then we start like, okay, we better act professional and kind of like pretend like we're taking notes. I go walk around. And I just
said like I care.
kind of like walk around. And I had no idea what I was gonna see. I'm just like, oh. I walk back over to Clopper and I'm like, his whole taint's out there.
Yeah.
It's like,
Oh yeah.
So what's I don't dry needle that area. I've been trained in some, but not that area. What was the draping technique like? So you got bottoms on, no bottoms on?
Oh
No
no,
bottoms.
I was
bottoms.
full out. I was full out. There was no draping.
You had a towel over your front.
Yeah. I
You
didn't
had a
have,
towel.
I didn't have to do SI swimsuit edition or body edition, but
So you created like a sling situation?
yeah,
I want a picture.
basically
The
covered
listeners
everywhere.
need a picture.
Yeah, I was
Okay.
covered everywhere that didn't matter, and that the spots that
Yeah.
mattered, the glory hole, that was all out.
Okay.
yeah.
Perfect. So did they give you time to prep for it? They're like, I gotta freshen up just a little bit.
No,
or you're
Casey,
like,
that's the thing. That's the thing. It was just, he'll do it. He's super helpful. Okay, jump up here now. And I'm thinking, oh boy, we
No time.
because this
Yep,
wasn't
this is-
8 a.m, right? You weren't
I
just
just ate high chai.
fresh out the
No.
shower. You were coming
No.
off Hy-Vee hot wings, huh?
Yep.
Oh,
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
well, you
Gotta
are
hold
super
it.
helpful. That is, wow, you're a champ.
Yeah, man.
That was.
Yeah.
I
that
came
was-
away from that. I'm like, never. No.
Yeah,
never.
I think we actually turned it
We're
into.
not-
we
Not
tried to
practicing
mature
this.
it. We tried to mature our response to her, and we were like, we actually have a women's health specialist in our clinic, so I'm not gonna do that. Me Too, the Me Too movement was hitting hard, so we're like, I don't think I'll be doing this,
Never,
Protect
ever.
yourself,
Okay.
right?
Ever.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
a fantastic story. I mean,
So
that Saint
big-
Scholastica Bulldog would have been so proud.
Oh yeah. Saint Bernard. Saint
No,
Bernard.
Saint Bernard. That's what I'm sorry.
Yep.
yeah,
That's what I
Well-
taught you. You're my boy.
suppose on that note, it's time to roll out to our top 5.
Oh, boys.
Is that foreshadowing?
That's a foreshadow.
Ooh.
So Nick, this is the
Yes.
way when we do our top 5, we're gonna kind of work the guest in the middle somewhere. We go round robin format where like I'll give my number 5, you give your number 5, Jeremy goes number 5, Casey goes 5, and then we go cyclical until we get to number 1s. Okay.
All
We
right.
get we'll give a little rationale, try to state your case. If it's not super obvious, that's kind of how we'll do it.
Yeah.
I will gladly go first again because this is probably also not my strength. So I found in my research that I'm definitely much more in the 90s hip hop and R&B than I'm in 2000. So
Figured you would be.
yeah, thank you,
I have
Jeremy.
this hunch. We're going to have a lot of overlap in our group because I
I
don't
don't think
think
so.
it was. Ooh, okay. All right. I do. I think we're going to see. I don't know if there was that much collective talent in the hip hop R&B genre. from this
Oh my
decade.
gosh.
Jeez.
This is a golden decade.
When it came down to it, but when
Mm.
you talk top, Jeremy, I'm talking top 5 caliber. When you really whittle it down,
I'm
I
just
think-
doing my favorites. I don't care who the
I
top
had-
is.
I had a hard time getting over 3.
that's what I'm saying. My top 5 favorites. That's what we're talking. We're talking the same thing.
Okay.
I really had 7 that even qualify.
Some
All right, go ahead,
honorable
Case.
mentions.
Go ahead.
I had to stretch. My number 555, would be, and I'm sure I'll get some garbage for this based on his location on my list, but my number 5 is Kanye West. I would say not a huge Kanye guy. I absolutely can't stand him now, which probably puts him lower on my list. But Kanye was one of those guys too, where like I wasn't like this R&B hip hop guy, and all my friends were like, "Oh, you gotta listen to Kanye," and I'm like, "Nah, that's not rap. It's not really my style." And like now, I listen back to it, and like I'm like, it's super good. Like, there's probably not many rappers who put out like 4 albums in a row like Kanye did. College Dropout, Late Registration, Graduation, 808s, and Heartbreak. Like
Mhm.
those 4 albums are phenomenal. I
Pretty hard to beat.
when you go back and listen to them, I mean, they're top to bottom just cool. He changed his style up a little bit each time
Yeah.
too. You know, I mean, Late Registration from College Dropout, totally different. He's got the string quartets. You know, 808 and Heartbreak is a lot of auto tune, but he's dealing with some
Auto-tune,
dealing with some stuff, obviously personally. They dips over. I just it's a cool time period. I will say I liked it. Just not higher on my list just because I just don't like him as a person. So it's hard for me to put him higher on my list than my favorites. But those 4 albums do kill it.
All right.
I mean, just some amazing bangers.
All right.
I mean, I
It's hard to
cannot
beat.
not sing Gold Digger when it comes on. Except for one certain part of the song I don't think I'm allowed to sing. But other than that, it's a great song.
Okay. I'll have to, you'll have to share that one offline with you. It's not coming to me, but awesome.
Ooh.
All right.
That was all the song was.
Let's
known for.
just so he doesn't get butchered out of here, our guest of honor, let's let Nick go next. That
Yeah,
way,
my number 5 is Eminem.
Ooh, all right.
Eminem had some bangers, you know, Lose Yourself. I mean, how could you, you're playing that before you're getting ready for a football game, a basketball game, you name it. I mean, Eminem was huge, man.
Yeah, I can't argue. Billboard's 2000s artist of the decade, so not a bad
Was he?
choice. Yeah,
He was, huh? All right.
yeah. I mean, he had
All right.
back-to-back
Should
albums sell 20 million. That's crazy. So
They sold 20?
yeah, Marshall Mathers and Eminem Show both hit 20 million.
Crazy.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
dude sold over 200 million albums in his career. It's
Wow.
crazy.
Ooh. Wow, that is impressive.
I'm not saying why I know so many of these facts. I mean, that's just happened to be off the top of my head. But
Yeah.
go on.
I have yeah. I'll be honest, I'll just jump out. He's not in mine only because I feel he you're right. He was so strong early on, but I feel he tapered so quickly in that decade. But then he had a resurgence by 2010, which I couldn't include.
Recovery.
And you're right.
Yeah.
Yeah, Recovery's
That's a great album. Yeah.
that's a great album. But Relapse, not so much.
Terrible.
Yeah, it's
terrible.
yeah.
We'll talk
well, I
about
can-
it later, but give it a re-listen, boys.
Oh no way. He's way out. I'll
Some of
save
his
Jared.
funnest raps.
Jeremy's going to be the deepest diver, most intellectual on this one. So
Yeah,
I'll go
nobody will
next.
know anybody on his list, I assume.
No,
I'm
I
gonna.
don't.
I was really torn. I know we said no more honorable mentions. All I'm gonna say is,
Oh,
Justin Timberlake was my honorable mention. He was that close. He just couldn't crack that top 5.
Are you calling him R&B?
Yeah. When he branched off, yeah. When he was in sync, they're not R&B. No.
I'd still call him more pop.
Yeah, I agree.
I'd call him R&B.
R&B, it's so R&B, especially Future Sex
Maybe
Love Sounds,
one of
baby.
the third best R&B artists
All
in
right.
that decade.
Anyways,
you
my
guys-
true number 5 was none other than Atlanta Zone Usher.
For sure.
And basically on the strength. I know he put out I think 3 albums in the decade, but 8701 is just got some tightness to it. It was kind of in my second year of college, and You Remind Me was such a big hit, you know. And then when Confessions came out, it felt like you were maturing with him. Like good stuff.
Did you?
Yeah, I did. It was
That's like going to
the
4 years of university.
Oh,
It was
How much you grew.
Usher State College. But Burn, you know, Confessions itself, pretty solid. It's a pretty solid song. And then he had a bunch of, I actually really dug the whole albums. Like he had a bunch that weren't actually hits, but you could put it in and listen to it through with like Confessions. And then he even did a sequel to Confessions in like 2010. It's pretty good too. But that's my number 5 is Usher.
For sure.
Not a bad choice.
For sure.
Not a bad choice. Heard that at the OB quite a bit.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
You get it.
Oh, yeah. The ladies loved it, Nick.
That dude could dance too.
Casey Hansons did not.
All right. Jeremy.
That's a good choice. That's a good pick.
All right, number 5. Usher. No R&B made my list. 0.
Ooh, you're
None.
thugging and bugging though, baby.
No, I just said that wasn't my jam.
Yeah, you can't ball to Usher. I get that.
My number 5 was Jay-Z.
Okay.
So 2001 Blueprint, 2002 Blueprint 2, Black Album 2003. American Gangster was Blueprint 3 was okay. So
Blueprint 3 or Blueprint 2 sucks.
what? Come on.
Blueprint 1 though, you're right. Blueprint 1 and Black Album, you got it.
Yeah. Black Album, that was up there with Kanye. That was freshman year in college. Those were the 2 albums. But yeah, he was a little bit on his way out at that time. But still obviously like in the conversation for GOAT in terms of MCs all time. So, and fun fact, you know, you talked about Usher. You're following the
Remember
NBA
correctly.
playoffs, right?
Yeah, I'm a big,
Just
I'm
the
a Grizzlies
Grizz.
fan.
Yeah, only the Grizz.
So with the 4 seconds that you've watched of the NBA playoffs, T. Morant, Ja Morant's dad, is an Usher lookalike. Usher even came
more reason to cheer him on.
He came and sat next to him courtside. It's hilarious. Like it's striking. You should,
Like
It's
he's
amazing. Amazing.
He's a current Usher lookalike. He doesn't look like Usher from 20 years ago.
no,
Yeah, exactly.
But
It's
if
amazing.
you saw him,
Big clarification.
on the sideline, you would look at it, you'd be like, these dudes are twins, or if not, definitely brothers.
I have no idea
wild.
what Usher looks like right now.
He looks like
Similar
Usher.
look, I assume.
He looks like Usher.
I gotta
Usher
think,
looks
is he
like
not
T.
looking
Morant.
healthy?
Oh,
No, he looks good, man.
No,
he looks
they
really
both-
good.
yeah.
Yeah. Guy's got to be like 45 now. I mean, that's young still, healthy, vibrant.
He's a Confessions
For
Part
those
3.
Spoken like a true 40.
Yeah, he needs to put that out.
yeah. He's got 60, 70 years ahead of him.
Yeah. For those listening at home and not understanding, Jeremy's right. I've watched, well, other than being at your place last week, I've watched no NBA. And I got to, just because Jeremy's a huge Warriors fan, I am a massive Grizzlies fan for this series. So they are my Grizzlies, and they routed your boys last night.
Yeah, they did. That was embarrassing. They just gave up. They just gave up.
No Jay Morant.
Yeah. Ja.
Ja.
Yeah. See,
It's French, right?
yeah.
He's a huge fan.
See, that's it.
Jay.
See, you just don't get it. When we're tight in Memphis, that's what we call him.
Oh, that's
okay.
like a nickname. I like that.
Yeah.
You think he'd sponsor the show? That's a cool nickname.
Text him.
Brought to you
Friend
by
of the
Cheeks
show.
and Jay. My new favorite duo.
Cheeks and Ja.
On the number
All right,
4.
Casey, number 4.
My number 4. That's super. I didn't even realize this until I did my research. Super prolific 2000s rapper would be Ludacris. So yeah, he released Word of Mouth 2001, Chickens and Beer 2003, Red Light District 2004, Release Therapy 2006, Theater of the Mind in 2008. So just a ton of stuff in the 2000s. Luda was cool. Like for me, he was fun. Like he made kind of rap accessible. You could enjoy listening to it. It was just goofy. You could throw it on in your car, have a good time. It was like a lot different from the rap I was listening to. I came from the 90s, like gangster rap, like NWA, Dr. Dre. I mean,
East Coast, West Coast.
I thought you had to be killing people and doing drugs to really have a good time previous to Ludacris. So he changed that for me. You could back your ass up. You could roll out. You could do all sorts of fun things besides kill people and do drugs. So Ludacris was cool. I liked Luda.
Ludacris.
Yep. I like that flow too. It was different. It was a different sound. It was fun. I enjoyed his stuff. His videos were cool.
Yeah.
So that's my number 4. I don't have a lot more. It's crazy. He released like 30 albums in the 2000s.
Super creative guy. Yeah.
Super. Yeah. Luda's the best. All right. My number 4 is Lil Wayne.
Lil Wayne.
Lil Wayne. Yep. Yeah. Lil Wayne had a few albums in the early 2000s. He kind of made it all the way through. I think he had released in 2008, maybe.
Oh yeah. He's still going.
And he's amazingly, he still
in
ends
jail
up,
there in the 2000s. But.
Yeah, he still ends up being in different things. Obviously, we haven't heard from him as much lately, but yeah, was he big? He was so big when you hear it on the radio and you hear it at your high school dance, and you hear. I mean, it was huge.
I absolutely love the Carter 3. That's one of my favorite rap albums. For sure. He almost made my list. He was my number 6. That Carter 3, based on that alone. The Carter 2 is people say is an awesome rap album. I'm not like a big rap guy. But the Carter 3, man, that threw some club hits in there. It was just fun to listen to. Yeah. And then he did that weird like rock album though in the 2000s, which
that was 2010.
Oh,
it escapes. It escapes.
Yeah, gets out of there. I like it.
Ruined it
for me.
I like it. Good call, Nick. Well, just since you fellas can't identify your own gender biases, I figure I better be the first one to have a female on here.
Wow, come on.
Yeah, you're blinded to your own bigotry or whatever.
Yeah, wait till you see my number 1.
Ooh, okay. I'll shut up.
White male.
Just being dumb. My number 4 is Alicia Keys, and she had some sweet R&B tracks. The gal was insanely talented, as a piano player, piano artist. But there's really 3 songs that came to my mind. She's got a big hit called "If I Ain't Got You," and another one, "You Don't Know My Name." Both very bluesy R&B tracks. I think Method Man was in both of her videos as like her love interest, kind of the rough guy that she maybe shouldn't be with, but yeah. And then at the end of the decade, she played it's not New York State of Mind. Is it New York State of Mind? What's that track that she did with
Empire State
of Mind. And she sings the hook on that and just nails it. Turn that into a massive hit to close out the decades. That's number 4, Alicia Keys.
Not a bad choice. Falling, man, when that came out. I don't know if that was in the was that 2001?
2001. Yeah.
That's a banger.
Yeah, man, yeah. I instantly fell in love with her.
Yeah.
And then she did that weird assassin movie, and I was like, I'm into that.
Oh yeah.
I thought that was the end of her career. Yep. I didn't know she did stuff after that. That was cool. Thanks, Nick.
All right, Jeremy, number 4.
All right. Jigs, you got good taste. That's my number 4 as well. Lil Wayne. The Carter coming up was money. I also like Carter 2, and I would say the Carter 3 is the best out of all of them.
Good. I'd like to be
that kind of
reinforced.
Yeah, that's good. in terms of, and he was just on everything too, man. That was back in the LimeWire days, right? Like every rap song that would come out, right? It's just like
Yeah,
2
featured
weeks
Lil
after it
Wayne.
came, 2 weeks after it came out, you could be like, da 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 remix, and like he'd be on it. Like it just was crazy. Like they remixed everything at that time. It was like I was always trying to keep my ear to the street. It was like I gotta burn the hottest CD right away so we can play this in the gym. But no, really in terms of like flow, he can rhyme anything, but it doesn't like he's not like a storyteller MC, right? But
No,
he
not at all.
just like straight up flow, like he just makes connections to everything. But yeah, number 4, Lil Wayne.
Yeah, I think it's cool because he made a huge leap. Like his early stuff, I think is terrible. Like Carter 2 is such a big leap from that early stuff where you're right. Like he didn't
Young
really
Money.
know how to rap. I mean, he knew how to rhyme, but he didn't know how to rap. Like,
Yeah.
And then the Carter 2 was like, holy crap, he can actually put a whole song together that makes sense and isn't just pure his weird giggles and laughs and just rhyming. So yeah. I think the 2000s were for him, man.
Yeah, I agree. He was not good in the beginning. Not a good listen.
But the beats were Young Money, like that was like, yeah, the beat, like I don't know. That's my take.
Cool.
Yeah.
Casey Hansen.
Moving on to me at number 3.
Top 3.
Boom. I alluded to it earlier. R&B, totally. Justin Timberlake. Man. Justified and Future Sex, Love Sounds. Those 2 albums are absolute bangers. I'll still sit down and listen to those. That dude was silky smooth. And the 2000s were coming up, Justin, period. If we're, just favorite artists, man, he was doing everything. Movies, SNL.
He was,
Dick in a Box and things ended up in that time. So I could throw that in there. He was just killing it. Mother Lover. There was some,
Mother Lover.
Yeah. Dude was, he was everywhere in the 2000s. And it was just a cool break to see him from NSYNC because I was like the anti-boy band. We've talked about that, right? New metal, hated boy band music. So like there was a period with NSYNC where like Justin Timberlake was the enemy. I was like, this dude's garbage. We need to get him out of here. And they just broke free. And I was like, actually, he's like the coolest dude I know. But I didn't know him, but like coolest dude in the world.
You felt like you did.
He seemed so friendly other than when he murdered that dude in Alpha Dogs. Bad call on his part, but
yeah.
It's a callback.
That's a hard scene to watch if you've never watched it. Top 5 squeamish scene if you've never
That's
seen
an inside.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's my number 3, Justin Timberlake, man. Just those 2 albums are phenomenal.
It is. That's where I was thinking. That's kind of what kept him out of my top 5. Right? He only put out 2 albums that decade, right?
Correct. Both bangers.
Yeah.
Absolute bangers.
I mean,
absolutely.
What was the next one? 2020 or whatever it was called. That was probably his best album in the 2010s. But
that didn't come out till 2013.
Correct. Yeah. I mean, that was probably his best work, but still, you felt the groundwork. I mean, Cry Me a River is so good. Come Around. It's fun. I can jam to those still to this day.
And I think he's
dance with my daughter to those songs and someday.
When you look at the production team that he put together for those albums, I mean, it's definitively R&B. It's like Timbaland primarily, and then he had P Diddy did some stuff with him, did a few of those, and the Neptunes. So it was pretty obvious it was R&B.
Yeah, I mean, other than one person in the world, I don't think anybody would argue that point. So,
yeah,
that's my number 3.
All right, nice number 3, Casey. My number 3 is Nelly.
Ooh, what?
I think everybody remembers where they were when they first heard the drop on Hot in Here. I mean, it's like, do you guys remember? I know I do. I was on the bus, riding the bus, having Beanie Babies were a thing still, I mean, it was huge, man. When Nelly came out with his style was just so different. I mean, the guys from St. Louis,
St. Louis.
They were just different. And the beat and the tempo, and I mean, you couldn't help but getting up to that. Man, I love that Hot in Here. That first album was just, I mean, it just banged the whole thing. Especially, I mean, what was interesting with Nelly is it kind of got repetitive after a while, but at the time, man, it was just like when that first album comes out, it's just huge.
Yeah, that's the reason he didn't make it higher on my list, because I would agree. He just got super repetitive. Like his shtick kind of became repetitive. But for me, it was Country Grammar, man. When I heard that song drop, I was like, this is the future of rap. Because he was like one of the first guys that kind of did like a sing-songy type rap where it was like really smooth, almost, actually kind of sang when he rapped. Like, I was like, this is a cool sound. Like nobody sounded like Nelly at the time. A lot of people emulated it, and then it became kind of like, okay, I guess maybe his rapping ability isn't as good as I thought it was, because it was pretty simplistic.
Well,
I think, do you think you're not wrong. I mean, that stuff was hot when it came out. Holy moly! It's just the end of the 2000s was a struggle.
He tried getting too far into acting too. I mean, he tried to dip his big toes into that, and maybe that distracted him a little bit, and he wasn't able to pull off the continuity too.
Yeah, I don't know.
Because I'm just
right, Nick. Maybe he just didn't keep it going as much as he didn't release 5 albums like Ludacris did. Like, maybe that was his problem. But now he's released like 40 cents apparently in my research. So who knew he's still out there banging? But
I mean, I think we can all agree though. We did believe that him and Kelly Rowland, we believed they were a thing.
I still want to believe, if I'm gonna be honest. That's
we all do. We all do.
Man, Destiny Child, that's another. Probably should have put him on my list in retrospect. And some hits. Nick, I'm sorry, Nick Doling. Yeah, you're right. My bias, it got me. I didn't even think about Destiny's Child. I got shivers now. All right, let's move on. Nelly's great.
All right, number 3. My number 3 is my turn, right?
Well, I think it was
Nick
D's turn, but he disappeared on me. Oh, he's back. Nick Doling, you're
Doling. Did you give your number 3 yet?
You haven't given your 3, right? Oh God.
He started. Did we lose him?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm having some connection issues here. You guys able to hear me?
Yeah.
We can hear you now. Good.
Yeah. Give me a shimmy, shimmy, cocoa what?
Well, okay. Now you guys are coming back. It was kind of all frozen up. Maybe it's that weather.
You missed some insight from me, but that's okay.
All right. I'm sure we'll be able to circle back on it. My number 3 is Kanye West. And I'll stick to this. You already rattled off the albums, songs like It All Falls Down, Jesus Walks, Stronger, Gold Digger. I loved Amazing from 808s and Heartbreaks. It's pretty, I mean, you guys already kind of talked about it. I think that's such an awesome track record. I almost attempted to move it up higher. I'm not going to judge. I'm not going to judge his body of work for that decade on anything he's done since, but just for that body of time, it was so awesome. Yeah, and he likes fish sticks. He likes putting fish sticks in his mouth,
in and around his mouth, for sure.
Yeah,
yeah.
If you remember that.
Oh yeah, that was great. Carlos Mencia, you couldn't. I stole the joke. That's I don't know if any rappers ever like come out with a 4 album hit like string like that. I don't know. That's tough. Nas maybe, but
Nas.
Maybe.
So that's
maybe.
So there's my number 3, Kanye West.
All right, I'll go.
Oh, good, Jeremy.
Yeah, you should.
I tried to skip line. But my number 3 is Eminem. In terms of Eminem show, I guess Marshall Mathers at OP was in there too. Between the Eminem show, Encore, and Relapse was trash. You're right, but Recovery was awesome. I know that's out of the time frame.
Relapse, listen.
I don't think
I don't want to.
Gosh, he's like,
some of his
he's
best
so
raps.
good. You talk about shtick. Again, that's probably why he didn't get up higher on my list too. Is like some of his songs when he's rapping about real stuff, like he's rapping about his daughter, or like friends or something that he's lost, like that, man, that stuff is so real. But then, you know, sticking a needle in my eye, you know, some of his stuff is just like so seventh grade. It's just like, man, I could do without that. But
Purple
in
pills.
terms of talent,
D12
like,
is not the same as Eminem.
Yeah.
You gotta add it in.
Oh, okay.
he was only featured on that. So
Yeah,
wasn't he?
that was D12. That wasn't Eminem.
You're
But,
right, but he was the only thing good about it.
He was.
No, I would argue Bizarre was the best thing about it.
No way.
Oh. Anyways,
All
this is Jeremy's list.
But
Jeremy.
no, in terms of wordplay, like we were talking about that with Eminem, like he can rhyme anything, but he makes it make sense, you know, and the connections he makes is just absolutely insane. So number 3, Eminem.
Okay. All right. Casey.
Number two. Okay. So apparently with the D12 thing, I feel confirmed on this that I can actually do this. My number 2 artist of the 2000s would be Outkast.
Ooh.
So
like
I
it.
didn't know, like, if you're like, you got to pick one of the two. I guess I'd pick Andre 3000 if I had to pick one of the two. But
Big
Outkast
boy.
was awesome. Stankonia
Yeah,
is like absolutely one of my favorite albums. I'm not like a huge rap guy, but that thing I can listen to top to bottom. There wasn't a whole lot of filler. That's always kind of been my problem with rap, is they tend to fill it with a lot of tracks that are like, here's my friend. And we're just gonna try to make fun and have a good time. That album is just absolutely awesome. Speaker Box, Love Below, not as good, because there is some, I would say, throwaway tracks on that. You know, it's just too big. I wish they would have again just made an Outkast album and picked like the best 10 songs out of those two, and I probably would have liked it more. But Hey Ya is still, I think, just an awesome song. I mean, just phenomenal. You can't not like shake your shoulders when that song comes off. There's just a ton of other good songs on there, but Idlewild was a kind of a weekend to that decade for them, but there were some cool songs on there too. But you know, you could tell they were breaking up at that point and they didn't really necessarily care to sing with each other too much. But if you look at those two just as two separate entities coming together, a lot of good songs through
Crazy
the 2000s.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. You have to put them together for either one individually as a body of work doesn't hold up.
Yeah.
And I bet you at least once a month I still sing So Fresh, So Clean when I'm in the shower.
Yeah. How do you know?
Getting ready for my day.
When I come out, ooh, nobody don't pass me.
Like Stankonia is so good. I like there's the same thing when people are like, I'm sorry, and I'm like, sorry, Miss Jackson. Like, how do you not do that? I mean, they were just cool. They were
into the clinic like bombs over Baghdad.
Less okay, but like, I mean, that was just such a different sound, and I mean, for me, it was revolutionary because I just wasn't listening to that kind of music, and that kind of music wasn't popular per se until they came out. But
and I think of that, the beginning of that decade really being, I mean, not defined by it, but you had this explosion of like Atlanta, Georgia-based rap, you know, and those guys, like Southern rap became huge.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
absolutely.
Bubba Sparks,
big
time.
Yeah. Bubba Sparks.
Booty
you
rocking
had so many lower tier guys too.
Yeah, there was a lot of lower tier guys in that.
Juvenile, you know, but I guess that was still 90s technically, but then you know, there's a lot of them.
There is a lot of them. Mystical, I assume, was from that.
Mystical, yeah. One hit, 2-hit wonders.
Watch yourself.
Hey, show me what you're working with.
For sure.
Yeah.
Pablo. Outkast, for me, Outkast was the best of that type of music, that area. And I don't know, the evolution to like ATLians from the 90s, like to Stankonia. It's just, I mean, they had some, like Rosa Parks, you saw like the future and what they could do, and then they just threw out a whole 2-3 albums of that. I mean, even Idlewild wasn't like their most popular album, but some of the stuff they did on there was pretty cool. Like take that 30s 40s sound and take today's modern music into it and make it work. Like, it was cool. That's kind of a cool album to go back and listen to now. It was disappointing at the time, because you just wanted this cool rap album, and it was like this timepiece thing they were trying to do that didn't really work. But
Yeah.
fun to go back and listen. Give it a re-listen on my research. Actually, re-listening to Idlewild put them up from 5 to 2 for me.
Oh, wow, interesting.
Because I was like, oh, this is way better than I remember it being. So
initially,
I docked them for it. So that was my number 2, Outcast.
That early Outcast, that will withstand time, no doubt. No doubt. That'll always be good. My number 2 is 50 Cent.
Ooh, number 2.
Number 2, I mean, 50 Cent was, you guys, he came in hard. I mean, how many of you guys had one of those beaters? 50 Cent had that style beater with the. I know Nick had one. He had at least 3. Probably.
He's probably wearing one right now under his shirt.
Still wearing one.
Let's see your tummy, Nick. Show us what you got.
He had like the red, white, and blue, right?
Yeah.
Oh, it's a fancy one. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
They always were ribbed. That was nice for his pleasure, I think, at that
point. Oh man, but 50 had. I mean, I really felt like that first album he came out with. I forget the title of it now, but man, I listened to that.
Richard Die Trying.
Yeah, man, the disc, man. Oh, dude, I could listen to the whole thing, and I felt like it. There were songs that were never singles that were good.
Yeah, and, his flow was great.
Yeah, he really and
that first album is hard to beat. That's a solid album.
Yeah, he was so popular. I mean, he really was. He's on the radio, and he was a man of the time there for a couple of years, and up there with Eminem, and with all his platinum albums and stuff and singles, and man, 50 Cent was the best. I love that guy.
Yeah, good 1-2 punch too. I mean, he went right from Get Rich Die Trying to
Massacre.
Massacre? 05, and that one had, he had some. I mean, you can think of what you want about Candy Shop.
Yeah, Disco Inferno.
Disco Inferno was hot. I mean, Many Men.
Many Men was a good one.
Yeah, good call. 50. Man, that dude, and he did explode. Like, people who didn't kind of live through that era of time or weren't like necessarily in kind of that window demographic to like be into it. I mean, he really came from pretty much somebody you never heard of, or maybe somebody if you knew of some underground stuff. But then when that dropped, everybody knew who he was, and he was pretty much all over the country. Huge explosion, and then then he did phase out though by the end of the decade. Like Curtis was pretty meh, and
actually just the first couple of years after because that was 03 and 05.
Yeah, and in the middle of the G Unit solo album wasn't too bad.
Yeah,
and my boy Lloyd Banks was spun off of there.
Lloyd Banks.
Warrior Part 2. Oh man, the jams. Get after it.
I just felt like he just disappointed after that first album, because that thing is a banger, and he just
the
never
Massacre was
he just never hit that same level. But you're right, Nick. Like, I mean, that first album is, I wouldn't say it's the best debut album by a rapper, but like
close.
Got to be one of the most popular.
Got to be. And Dre came in and produced it. I mean, put him under his wing. I mean, it was huge.
You might sit back and put it under a microscope now and find some flaws in it, but at the time, you're like, this dude is never going away. Like, nobody sounded like him. He had that weird like drawl to his voice, and his jaw was like wired shut too. Yeah, he got shot in the face.
So he had to he couldn't open his mouth all the way.
Yeah, are you thinking Kanye?
Cool sound.
No, I know Kanye. Had the wires.
But you guys,
I know
50 had the bullet, right? Like, he's got like a bullet still lodged in his face, right?
He got shot like 7 times. I mean, that was part of the story too. It made him so compelling. Was it 9?
Yeah.
See, you know it.
And none of these people we talk about. I mean, you're right. They're mostly guys. I don't know if that's our bias or just that's what was at the time. But Fitty was in shape, man. He was.
He did.
He was on. He was
on. That's why he took
every other month.
He's the first guy that came out like, whoa, look at how massive he is, man. That dude, he could mess someone up.
Oh,
like,
you're right.
He's doing the pull-ups upside down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he tried to reproduce that this year, and it was all right.
He took a lot of heat. He took a
He
lot
did,
of heat.
yeah.
I just think when he finally got on his feet, he didn't look so bad. But yeah, when he's hanging upside down, it didn't look great.
Yeah, him hanging
but-
upside down looks like me standing upright right now, which isn't that's not a good thing for him.
But but Nick, you're making a great point, because part of, I mean, his album was awesome, and it was like the confluence of so many different factors. But his persona drove so much of that. Like,
You
the
bet.
dude was indestructible, and so you're right. He wore the wifey, but he also would wear like the bulletproof vest to
Yes.
All of G Unit would,
right?
All of G Unit.
And but there was credibility behind it. There was a story behind it that it was a gimmick, but at the same time there's that grain of truth that came with it.
He had the big Reebok deal. You remember those shoes? That was like rappers were first still getting deals. He made a lot of money, and then I think he blew it all.
He's
On
drinking all
vitamin
that,
water.
Vitamin water. Yeah.
Vitamin water, did he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's an owner of Vitamin Water, isn't he?
Yeah.
I
Might
think
be,
that's
yeah.
turned out poor for him, actually, which is surprising because
Eventually it all wears out, right? You
Yeah.
gotta stay on top. You gotta
seemed
find
cool
new
right away, but
ways to
man,
innovate. All right. Well, that's a good one, Nick. My number 2 already been said. Nelly.
Ooh.
When you roll through it,
how is
The
that not
FGL
your
stuff,
number
right?
one? I use that as your nickname because I assumed that was number one for you.
It's the FGL stuff. I
you're
guarantee
right.
it.
country grammar, like, man, when that was college to me. Like when that hit, it was like a whole nother, I don't know, door opening up and just being fun. It represented fun, and then that spun off into Ride With Me, EI. He had some other hit later on that album, like Lovin' Me is a great track. I think that's the one where he samples Michael McDonald, and it's just, it's awesome.
I know that's
Awesome
your
hit.
jam. Can you give us a sample?
But and then like Nick's, then with that second album, Air Force Ones, Hot in Here, Dilemma, and then he even had a really good track, and I can't remember the name of it, but it was on the soundtrack to The Longest Yard, and it kind of continued on with some of that kind of Midwest rap, good stuff.
Was it Champion? Was that on Longest Yard?
No.
Number
Well,
one. 2 is just a whatever.
Yeah,
That's
I am
on
number 1. Yeah.
No, that was earlier. That was on the soundtrack to Training Day with Denzel Washington. Ethan Hawke.
About the
You gotta-
beans don't burn in the kitchen. Beans don't burn in the grill.
And
That's
he
not
had,
the same
and he had
song.
some good.
I don't know.
He had a couple good songs with St. Lunatics too. So going back to that D12 thing, but he was pretty much the best part of that. I don't care what anybody says about Murphy Lee.
Chingy
was
was
still-
was Chingy in that too? Chingy, Murphy Lee, St. Louis.
I know. I don't think so. Murphy Lee
Oh.
was.
I don't think Chingy was in that.
No, Chingy came much later.
He was STL though. That was early 2000s.
He was
St.
probably
Louis.
just trying to follow him.
Yeah, average.
Nelly, man, but you go back to the year 2000, like 2000 to like 2006, that dude was everywhere. So there you go. My number 2, Nelly. Good Jeremy.
All I was thinking about, we were talking about Lil Wayne earlier. You remember this? Right? Get your roll on.
Dante Culpepper. Yeah.
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 Are you gonna say Birdman? You're gonna go Birdman?
That was big timers.
Because
Big
Lil
timers.
Wayne's definitely
Big
better
time.
than
That's-
Birdman.
yeah.
Big timers. That's how Lil Wayne came up. So
And who was in Big Timers?
yeah, I know. Yeah. Manny Fresh, when Manny Fresh was producing stuff, like great beats on those tracks. But I digress.
Yeah, you got
My number 2 is Kanye. Like I can't say anything more than you guys already did, but I would say too, but I will. He did he did morph his style, right? Like you talk about all these guys like Luda and some of those guys that it's like, it's
Kinda
kind of the
phased
same flow, it's the same thing.
Yeah,
just
Luda
different
never
album.
changed. Luda is still to this day the exact
The same
song.
thing. Yeah, that's why he's playing at casinos now. But
Just
I'll
sweet.
see
I
you
can
know,
see
like-
him for $10.
I'll go see it.
That's not
Kanye,
I'll
He
just
just-
scream from the crowd. That dude was one of the top 5 from the 2000s. People love it.
But that's a college dropout was freshman year in college. I mean, probably similar kind of feelings tied to that. Like Nick, you're just talking to Nelly in college. I mean, it's just great album through and through.
Yeah.
So Kanye West, my number 2.
Yeah,
Cool,
can't
man.
argue. I mean,
Can't
he was one of the people that gave rappers a license to experiment, right? Like I talked about Lil Wayne doing the rock album too, but like that door wouldn't have been open for rappers if Kanye didn't say, I'm gonna completely change my sound every album, right?
And you know
people were
what?
like, okay, I guess you
And
can
what
do
he-
that.
I know, Jeremy, you mentioned Jay-Z earlier, and Kanye really, if you guys know the history there, he really got on the map for producing, the Blueprint, putting a lot of those songs on the Blueprint. And I think what he did that was unique at that time was taking like people were already sampling a lot of 80s tracks, but he went deep. He went into like the 60s
Yeah, he went
and
into
70s, like
R&B.
Motown, and then he'd
Yep.
sample it and then make it into something like totally fresh and unique. And that was pretty cool.
Yeah, he brought around that Beastie Boys style sample.
Yeah, they were way, you talk about ahead of their time. Yeah,
Slow
Paul's
jam.
Boutique.
Oh yeah, Paul's Boutique, man. You can listen to that thing and just spend an afternoon picking out samples. That's crazy.
Well,
That's,
how about
that's
you
another
take it to
cast. My number 1.
number 1, you High Plains drifter?
Oh, my number 1 to completely confirm my bias is Eminem, a white male. Man, holy moly. So,
Misogynist.
yeah.
Holy moly. We're going to finally get comments after this
Yeah,
episode.
I've been trying, Nick. Nick has been begging and begging. No, I mean, I was a huge Slim Shady LP guy. Like, I thought that was like the funnest album I'd heard from a rapper. That was just so different at that time to like have a persona and be goofy. I know there was like horrorcore rap and things. I wasn't into that stuff, but to hear that, I was pretty pumped for Marshall Mathers. It's one of the few albums like I drove to Minot, North Dakota to get this album on the day it dropped. Back when you like knew when albums dropped and it was a big thing and you had to go get them. Like I went and waited in line to get a CD. And that sucker delivered, man. The Marshall Mathers LP, I don't know. Stan for me is one of the best songs, period. Not just a rap song. I think it's just so cool. Beats cool. The way he played it on both sides is cool. It's just a interesting sound. The whole thing is that album's awesome. Like I said, artist of the decade, 20 million on that. Eminem show, 20 million. I also drove to Minot for that one. Probably other than Korn, the only album artist I've ever driven to get an album on when they dropped. So now I would say like,
did you say Korn?
Yeah, big Korn fan.
All right.
That's another
with a
K.
With a K.
Backwards R. In case you're gonna look them up later.
Yeah, I'm familiar with them.
No, but yeah, I mean Eminem was just everywhere.
Pretty good.
We already talked about it. Lose Yourself. I mean, D12 even, you can crap on that all you want, but I think that was a pretty fun album to like, yeah, I'm rich and famous now. Come on, all my buddies, and we'll just mess around. Eminem, like, forgot about Dre. Like, his contribution to that song, I think, is the best thing on a really damn good album. Is his contribution to that song. So I mean, he was all over the place. He was doing soundtrack work. He was singing other people's stuff. Again, you guys say Relapse sucks. It does suck. Don't get me wrong.
I'll give it another listen.
It sucks, but like some of the beats are actually pretty cool, and the speed at which he raps. Like the thing that sucks about that album is how much he uses accents and like he tried to be too goofy. But there's actually some really cool beats and really cool rhymes on there. Like it's if you can get over the weirdness of it, because he does like 8 songs about killing people, like Jeremy said, he does. You don't like the Slim Shady persona, right?
No,
like, and that's 100% Slim Shady almost, except for
because he was high the whole time.
Pop a bottle or whatever. Like the one song
he's
50.
Casey, he's admitted it's trash. He's like,
he doesn't like it either.
The worst shit he ever did.
But I think if you go back and give it another listen with a clear mind, you're like, I see what he was going for, minus like all the weird stuff. And like, because I didn't like Encore that much either, because he did some weird stuff on there.
Encore's not very good.
But based on like just the Eminem show and Marshall Mathers LP, he's number 1 on mine. I mean, that's just like I said, 40 million records sold just in those 2 albums. Unbelievable. And then you add Lose Yourself on there. And some of his other, like I said, Forgot About Dre, and he puts a banger on the End of Days soundtrack. I think that's in the 2000s. So if you never heard, give it a listen. So that's my number one. Eminem, confirm my bias.
And we didn't even mention 8 Mile. I mean, you mix 8 Mile in there. That made a huge difference, man.
And that movie I enjoy that movie. I mean, I get it. He plays himself. I can't give him an Oscar for that, but it's a fun movie. Mekhi Phifer maybe deserves one. I feel like he was proof.
So. All right, Nick. What's your
number
one?
My number one, it's Ludacris for me, boys.
Yes, I am vindicated. Feels good.
He's my favorite. I think his, Word of Mouth, Chicken and Beer, Red Light District. I mean, those are always in my disc, man. You know what I mean? Those I damn near blew the speakers out of my Buick LeSabre with those things. So
you're gonna put that sucker in a 6 disc changer in your trunk. You can put his whole collection in your 6 disc changer at that time.
Yeah, man. If I had that money, I would have for sure. But I was plugging into the aux cord and going that route, man, and skipping every bump that I hit.
Did you have the cassette? Did you have the cassette adapter for the CD player?
I had one.
I started with the cassette. Then I went to the lighter plug-in.
FM tuner.
FM tuner. Yeah, man. I had you do what you can, but man, I love Ludacris. I still think, man, when one of his songs comes on, I mean, it just gets you going. There's such a charm to some of this stuff. Like I was telling you guys, I was going back and listening to some of the stuff that maybe I don't listen to anymore. And it's like you listen to the actual words now as an adult, and there was something so cool about not really paying attention to what the words were when you were listening at that time. Mm-hmm. And it's like you listen to it now, and some of the stuff you're
like, whoa.
That's ridiculous. That's that's so stupid. But Ludacris, for whatever reason, I love to listen to it, and
it's fun, man. He is.
Yeah,
it's fun. Clown Prince of rap, dude. I mean, you can't.
I'm going to see him in concert in Vegas on Saturday.
What?
Not at Dakota Magic.
Nope.
No, he's not at Dakota Magic.
Nope.
Jeremy has led me astray. I thought I could see him at Monoman.
He probably will be there.
Hey, Nick, where's that festival at?
It's at the fairgrounds in Las Vegas. So there's gonna be Ludacris, Usher, Nelly, Fabulous, Lauren.
Fabulous.
Out of the top 5 hip hop and R&B artists of the 2000s,
guys,
it sounds like
it's gonna be huge.
That's gonna be wild.
Unsung Hero, one of my favorites that didn't have a lot of hits, but just I loved his style. Mace. You guys remember Mace?
Yep. Oh yeah. More of a 90s boy, but
welcome back.
He stepped aside too soon. I mean, he could have been, So, but number one for me.
For the clergy.
He had to go save some souls.
Yeah, and certainly I'm sure he did that.
I love it. Well,
I like the confidence.
That was awesome. That was a great choice because that's my number one. Ludacris, baby.
What is a back-to-back Ludacris event?
He was my when I and Nick nailed so
right
much
you
about
guys.
it. Jeremy's just irate.
Yeah, this is a PT Shop Talk event. I don't know what's happening right now.
Jeremy, I'm just gonna everything Nick said is true. I'm just gonna lay out some song titles here, and then you let them soak in. All right, stand up, roll out, back up, move, beach,
area codes.
Area codes.
Splash
Waterfalls. He flew in 2001 with area codes, man. That's how he started the decade.
With Nate
Him and Nate Dogg. Right?
You got number one spot. You got Lovers and Friends where he's slowing it down with Usher.
R&B.
But again, Splash Waterfalls, yo. All right. Number one, Luda.
I thought when I put Luda at 4, I was going to get just absolutely made fun of. This is phenomenal.
And little footnote, probably
guilty.
The only remaining likable character in the Fast and Furious movies.
Yeah, he's really hit it big there. No, he was an honorable mention. He was big in the early 2000s, that's for sure.
Early?
Yeah.
Did you not hear that track record?
Yeah. 2001, 2003, 2004, 2006, 2008. Album after album after album, Jeremy.
That's all right. We can all have our choice. This is Jeremy's. This is his genre, so I will defer to
Drop
him.
MF Doom is your number one, Jeremy, and let's move on.
No. So we talked about the influence that Outkast had on Southern rap. Idlewild, fun fact, is in Michigan. I've driven by it.
It's a real place, huh?
It's a real place. Check out the history behind it.
Okay.
Check it out.
Okay.
Just read up, and you'll be informed.
How many serial killers were located in Idlewild?
0. It's
Jeremy.
One of the few places then.
How far is it from Green Bay?
Also a good
question. I'm gonna guess 642 miles.
I was also trying to figure out how far Chisholm was from Green Bay, but I didn't find a natural, organic time to ask that question.
Takes about 9 hours. I've done it.
As the crow flies.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Well, with or without kids.
Oh, that's the question.
For my dreams, without kids.
I think you could probably do it in 7-8 without kids.
Ooh, I like that. That's
That's
Nick. You
the
probably
question,
don't know this, but I base all geographic locations on Green Bay.
Sound like my wife.
We'd get along splashingly.
Yep.
All right, Jeremy, number one.
Yeah, have you said your number one yet? What's happening? I'm so lost.
No,
number
he's
one.
dragging it out. Dramatic effect.
No, we got to Green Bay. Atlanta's a long ways away from there, but my number one is T.I.
Oh, good choice.
T.I. again?
T.I.
Yeah, I didn't think you'd do it. I didn't think you'd do it. Now, I don't know rap much. What's T.I. even stand for? Is that a thing? Or is his name just Ty,
Tip
like
Harris.
Ja? What is it?
Tip
Tip.
Harris. Clifford Joseph Harris Jr.
But
T.I.
that would be
Tip.
T.H. That would be T.H.
I've
I don't
invalidated
act
your list at this point, Jeremy.
So
That would
anyways,
be just the nerdy, like, well, it's not his abbreviation.
he had I'm Serious in 2001. I wasn't a big fan of that. Trap Music 2003 was pretty good. Urban Legend was where I really got into him. 2004 King. Listen to that album. 2006 T.I. versus T.I.P. Okay. In 2007, 2008
We're not
Paper
selling
Trail.
this list so far.
Paper Trail.
Paper Trail was good. I'll give you
Very
that.
good.
So
Very
good.
good. Very good.
So King and Paper Trail are solid, but yeah, he put out 8 albums in 10 years. He had a lot of
He's no
good.
Ludacris.
I'd agree, Nick.
No, he had more bangers, like actual like hype up songs. Like they weren't, it wasn't hoes and area codes and whatever. So,
But that's the real life, Jeremy. That's the
Yeah.
real world. That's what
I
Luda
have
was-
an area code.
That's what
I
Luda was
possess
living,
one of
baby.
those.
yeah, I guess shooting people and dealing drugs isn't my real life either. So,
Canby was rough though.
Canby was rough. Grew up on the west side and just lucky to make it out.
Was that a track situation? Was the west side the wrong side of the tracks?
Highway 75. That was the kind of the delineation there. So
Because in Maddock, the south side of the tracks was the bad side. There was about 30 people that lived there versus 140 on the north side. So you didn't want to be on the south side, man.
Yeah. Yep.
I get it.
Yep.
Good
So
stuff.
Thomas Ingram, huh? That was your number one? Oh, don't play too much of that, Nick. I think that'll get me kicked off of YouTube. Cool.
We're fine.
I'll have to edit that
I'm just
out.
finding even more ludicrous hits.
Oh,
That was Get
so
Back.
so many. He's still pumping them out to today.
Oh, boys.
I feel good about
Wow.
my list. I have been crap
I
on
do.
my list lately, and today I brought it. I feel good. All my people on
feel-
my list were covered in other people's lists, so
Yeah.
it's a win. Except Outcast. You guys didn't like Outcast, huh? Man,
that's on my
We all-
honorable mention.
Yeah, we all have respect for Outkast. They just didn't make the list. That's no disrespect.
My honorable mention: Nelly, 50 Cent, Outkast, and Luda. That's my. They were all there.
Yeah.
Mine was really Lil Wayne. That was all. I really stretched for 5, if I'm gonna be honest.
Here, Jeremy, I had T.I. in my honorable mentions.
Yeah, me too.
Nobody even really Nick, he did a little bit, but and if we really consider JT, Doling, no one really dabbled into R&B. I mean, he did a little bit.
I gotta go back to Destiny's Child.
JT is not.
They must have been pretty hot in the 2000s, right? I mean, that must
more
be
Beyonce.
Beyonce, yeah. She's just not for me. Like, I don't. Her like just everything seems so repetitive. Like every song felt like the same, like 10 lyrics, like nonstop.
To the left.
Yeah, I know, Nick. When Single Ladies comes on, you can't help but get that stepping.
Not me, bro.
Fun fact: that was also a song I was trying to pull a lyric for Jeremy's.
Put a ring on it.
Yeah.
Put a ring.
You already had a ring on it. So was Destiny's Child more like 90s? I can't even remember. Like time.
They dissolved by like 01.
Okay, maybe that's why I don't have them on my list.
Because you know, R&B wise, I think if you go into the 90s, I'd have a hell of a list.
Oh yeah,
in the 90s, but it's kind of tapering, I think, in 2000s.
Yeah, everybody seemed like they were dying off in the 2000s with the R&B. I mean,
Keith Sweat, baby.
The 90s was hot in R&B. That could be a separate album from hip hop. At that point, or a separate list.
But
Keith Sweat,
hats off to her. Keith Sweat, baby. Jodeci.
Yeah, they'll both be at the festival this weekend.
What?
Yeah, I saw that.
I'm telling you, boys. I'm telling you, boys.
That girl is poised. Then no, that's no. Sorry.
Genuine.
Wrong
Genuine.
Genuine.
What? I'm so jelly. When I sent an email, I saw you were out for a few days. Huh? That's exciting, and this was what you're doing.
Leaving at 3:40 tomorrow morning.
Whoa, AM.
Hey, when you live up here, man, the airport is an excursion.
No, you fly out from Doc Moonlight's private airstrip. Is that how that works?
Oh, someday that'd be nice. No, we have a beautiful local airport, but the flight's going to be from Minneapolis tomorrow. We're driving down.
That's a pure iron runway. Is that how you guys do that up there? Pure tacking?
Yeah, we just trying to get the minerals to win world wars, baby.
Yeah, I'm not going to argue, man. That iron's important.
Yeah,
but I hear the copper is a no-go, huh? You guys aren't doing copper up there.
Yeah,
sorry if that's sour. I shouldn't bring that up. Maybe.
Yeah, that's a whole podcast topic, I think.
Dang, I told you guys I was the #1 Chisholm expert around here. So
yeah.
You know it all.
You did your research.
They moved a whole highway around that town just to mine. It's crazy talk.
Listen to this guy.
Do your research,
guys.
Right.
You want more?
Right.
You want more?
Yeah, you want more? I can keep going. I know it all.
Yeah. The world's third largest freestanding monument.
Oh,
they got a nice mining museum there.
Yeah.
I know it all, guys. Anyways,
mic drop.
Nick, thanks so much for joining us today. It's super cool. I think that's I think the gym thing's super cool. There's not a better supplement to therapy than having a way to keep people active. I mean, that's phenomenal. We could have talked about that forever, right? If it was up to me, every therapy place would have a nice gym that people could continue with their home exercises at. So it's a cool opportunity. I've seen it more and more therapy places are getting some sort of affiliation with the gym, moving gyms in. I mean, it's just a natural progression as we move away from reliance on physicians and we just become our own direct access people.
Alliance.
Continue it, right? You can see your patients for years and years and make sure they're doing all right. So that's very cool
great
stuff you're doing. I think you guys are ahead of the curve out there. So again, thanks for coming on. Yeah, your list was solid. Ludacris, great choice. Again, if you guys want to see us in person or follow us on YouTube, if you want to give us any suggestions, things you want to hear us talk about, any top fives you want to hear us, as ridiculous as they can be, send us some suggestions at ptshoptalk@gmail.com. Again, hateful remarks. Nick is still waiting.
Yes.
So give us some of that.
We can take
guys,
We can take it.
Honestly, if you guys want to be a guest on our show, shoot us an email at PT Shop Talk. Anything health and wellness you want to talk to us about, give us a ring. We're willing to take folks. So follow us on Twitter, PT Shop Talk 1. That's all I got for you guys. Nick, you got anything you want to pimp, as the kids say? I mean, how do we find you out there in Chisholm? What's the gym?
Yeah, thanks, guys. Gym is called 30 West Fitness
30
and
West.
Recreation. So we're actually a recreation company too. We rent out paddle boards and mountain bikes. We have a bike shop as well. We've got the one of the premier mountain biking destinations right here in Chisholm, Redhead Mountain Bike Park. So I'm here at the bike shop now, and so come check it out. It's beautiful. We talked earlier about the old mining area, and what they did is they went and reclaimed it. So and made these beautiful mountain bike trails, and you can rent bikes right here at the trailhead from us, and got some cool swag and gear and all kinds of fun stuff, expertise on the trails to get you going. So
that's super cool. So kind of a nice
yeah.
weekend trip, even head up to Chisholm and rent a bike and go on some trails, huh?
Yeah, you bet. So we got it going on here this summer. We're looking forward to that. And yeah, it's beautiful country. It's a place that if you haven't seen, come up and visit.
Now in Vegas, you're gonna have a ribbed tee on. Is that a little wifey on?
Oh.
If people see in the crowds, folks
Bulletproof
listening right
vest.
now.
I'll be rocking that dad bod like 50 Cent did at the Super Bowl.
I like that. Great picture. All right. Thanks for listening, everybody. Until next time, I'm Casey Hansen, and with me as always is
Nick Doing.
And Jeremy Van Kloppenberg.
till next time.